Have you ever kept talking after the disrespect was already clear? They go cold or dismissive. Now the silence starts pressing on you. You feel the need to explain yourself, so you try to fix their view of you. But every extra word gives them more control. The real loss starts there. You can feel the moment changing before anyone says another word. Their face goes flat. Their tone gets colder. Maybe they lean back. Maybe they give you that little look that says they already closed the case. And now the silence starts working on you. You feel that pressure to fix how they see you before their version settles in. So you step in again. You explain your tone. You explain your intent. You explain what you actually meant. You try to pull the moment back toward fairness. But that is where the shift begins. Because they are no longer the one who has to hold their position. You are. They stay still. You start working. They give less. You give more. And people can feel that immediately. Not just your words. Your urgency. Not just your point. You need them to receive it well. That is the trap. The disrespect happened once. But now you are carrying it forward with every extra sentence. You think you are restoring clarity. What they feel is that you are trying to recover control through explanation. And the harder you try to make them understand, the easier it becomes for them to keep the power where it is. And this is where you start losing it. Not when they go cold. Not when they dismiss you. When you decide, the moment can still be repaired if you just say it better. You see it happen in real time. They cut the warmth out of their voice. Their answers get shorter. Their face stops moving with you. You can feel the distance hardening. And that pressure hits fast. You do not want to leave the moment you're there. You do not want them walking away with the wrong version of you in their head. So you lean in. You talk more carefully now. You explain what you meant. You explain what you did not mean. You try to remove every possible excuse for them to keep reading you wrong. But the room has already changed. Because now it is no longer about what happened. It is about who is chasing resolution. And that is always felt. The more you reach for understanding, the more you show that their view of you still controls the atmosphere inside you. That is the first mistake. You think an explanation will bring the power back. But the explanation given under pressure does not look calm. It looks pulled. It looks like you need them to release you from the discomfort they created. And people feel that immediately. They feel the extra effort. They feel the emotional weight behind your words. They feel that you are no longer just speaking. You are trying to get your position back through their approval. That is where power slips. Not because you were wrong, because you kept talking after the disrespect was already clear. And this is why it does not stay one moment. It becomes a pattern, not just with one person, with different people, different rooms, different kinds of disrespect. Same response. Someone goes cold. Someone twists your words. Someone answers with that dry tone meant to make you feel slightly off balance. And almost automatically, you move toward repair. You send the longer text. You add the second explanation. You reopen the conversation that was already showing you where you stood. Because part of you still believes understanding will protect the connection. That is what makes this expensive. You are not only trying to fix the moment, you are trying to stop the distance from becoming real. So you keep feeding it words, more context, more softness, more proof that you are reasonable, more proof that they got you wrong. But repeated explaining does not create respect. It teaches people something else. It teaches them that once they create enough discomfort, you will start doing extra work. That is the pattern. They go cold. You rush in. They stay vague. You get clearer. They give less. You offer more. And over time, that exchange changes your position. Just because people start learning, they do not need to meet you with fairness to make you respond. They only need to make you feel misunderstood. That is when misunderstanding stops being an accident and starts becoming leverage. The Stoic shift begins here, not by forcing clarity harder, by noticing the pattern early and refusing to chase peace through explanation. This is the part people miss. Other people are watching the chase happens. Maybe nobody says anything. Maybe they just go quiet. Maybe someone glances down at the table. Maybe a third person suddenly looks very interested in their coffee. But they can feel the shift. Because once disrespect lands, the room starts reading who is now trying to recover the moment and who is comfortable letting it stay broken. And when that becomes you, your words change meaning. You think you are showing maturity. They read strain. You think you are showing clarity. They need to read. You think you are cleaning up a misunderstanding. They read that the comment got inside, and now you are working to get your ground back. That is the social cost. Your explanation may sound calm, but the room can still hear the pressure behind it. They hear the extra sentence that did not need to exist. They hear the softer tone you use to keep things from getting worse. They hear you trying to rescue the interaction instead of letting the disrespect expose itself. And that changes your position without anyone announcing it. Because people trust stillness, they question over-effort. If this hits home, subscribe. We're building a place for calm people who are tired of being disrespected. The mistake is not only that you keep talking to them, it is that everyone else starts learning something too. They learn you can be pulled. They learn that misunderstanding unsettles you. They learn that pressure makes you explain. That is how one disrespectful moment quietly becomes a social signal. The Stoic move is harder. Let the room see who disturbed the peace. Do not rush in and make it look like it was you. And this is where the pressure gets more dangerous. Because now it is not only about that one exchange. It is about what happens after it. You leave the conversation, but your mind does not leave with you. You reply to their tone. You replay your wording. You reply the exact second their face changed. And the worst part is this. You start building new explanations for a moment that already told you enough. Maybe I said it wrong. Maybe I came off too sharp. Maybe if I reach out once more, I can straighten it out. So the disrespect follows you into the next hour, the next room, the drive home, the quiet part of the night when your mind starts negotiating with something your body already felt clearly. That is how the cost rises. The moment ends, but it keeps taking from you. Your attention, your calm, your sleep, your self-respect. They spoke once, you carried the rest. That is the invisible loss. Because chasing understanding does not only weakens you in front of them, it trains you to distrust your own first recognition. You felt the disrespect. Then you argued with yourself until your version became louder than your own. That is where most people break, not in the conversation, after it. When silence becomes pressure, and pressure becomes pursuit. The Stoic shift starts here. You stop treating every cold reaction like a problem you must solve. You stop using explanations to buy back inner peace. And you learn to let clarity stay clear even when no one agrees out loud. But the more serious damage happens inside, not in their tone, in what you start doing to yourself right after it lands. You begin editing your own reality. You felt the disrespect instantly. Your body knew. Your chest tightened. Your thoughts sped up. Something in you said, "That was not clean." But instead of trusting that, you turn against your own reading. You start softening what happened. Maybe they did not mean it like that. Maybe I am overreacting. Maybe I should explain better so this does not turn into something bigger. And now, the split begins. Now, one part of you felt the line get crossed. The other party starts negotiating with the person who crossed it. That is exhaustion, because now you are doing two jobs at once, holding your hurt in and trying to make them comfortable enough to understand it. That is the self-betrayal. You abandon your first clear signal just to keep the connection from hardening. You trade self-trust for one more chance to be received correctly. If this feels familiar, subscribe. This channel is for people who are done shrinking just to stay understood, and the consequence is brutal. The more you explain past disrespect, the less solid you feel inside yourself. Your words are careful. Your instincts get weaker. Your boundaries start sounding like a request. That is where stoic correction becomes necessary. Now, you do not heal the moment by doubting what you clearly felt. You get stronger when you stop asking for their comfort to confirm your reality. And this is where the test gets cleaner. Not when they agree. When they stay cold, and you still do not chase it. You can see the old reflex arrive. Their face barely moves. Their answer comes back, clipped. Maybe they give that small shrug, like your words are the thing that needs fixing. And your body wants to move first. Tight chest, fast sentence. That urge to explain one more time so the air does not harden. That used to be the handoff. You would soften your tone, add context, try to sound patient enough to earn fair treatment from someone already choosing not to give it. But now you catch the trap earlier. They are waiting for movement, for the second explanation, for the extra softness, for proof that misunderstanding still pulls your center off balance. So this time, you hold your pace. Maybe you can give one line. That is not what I said. Then nothing. No repair. No second version. No emotional reaching. And that is where the identity changes. Not into someone colder, into someone harder to pull. Because the moment you stop performing for clean treatment, their frame loses air. People feel it too. Your words stop sounding like a request. Your face stops asking for permission. The pressure stays with them. That is the shift. You do not need their understanding to keep your position. Part 7. And this is where the correction becomes visible. Not in theory. In the next real moment, when someone tries it again, the tone changes. They get colder. They throw a small dismissal, the half smile, the dry response. Or is the line meant to make you lean forward and start fixing what they distorted? The old version of you would have stepped in immediately. You would explain your tone, clarify your meaning, add context, try to clean the air before the discomfort spreads. But now, you see the trap faster. You feel the urge, and you do not obey it. That is the correction. You do not rush to rescue their view of you. You do not beg the moment to become fair. You do not volunteer to carry confusion they are using as a weapon. You get still. Maybe you say less. Maybe you say nothing. Maybe all you give is one clean line and then you stop. That changes the whole exchange. Because the disrespect no longer grows. It has nothing to feed on. No over-explaining. No emotional leakage. No visible chase for understanding. And now the frame stays exposed. And as they were the ones creating the distortion, they were the ones pressing for control. You were the one who refused to enter it. That is what power looks like now. Not being fully understood, not winning the emotional trial, seeing the disrespect clearly, and refusing to spend yourself trying to make it feel clean. The real loss was never only that they disrespected you. It was that you kept paying after the moment was already clear, with more words, more effort, more emotional labor to make the distortion feel fair. That is what drains power. Not being misunderstood once, needing to correct it at any cost. Because the moment you chase understanding from someone who already chose disrespect, you hand them the center of the exchange. Your calm starts depending on whether they soften, whether they nod, whether they finally admit you meant well. That is not a strength. That is dependence wearing the clothes of maturity. The Stoic turn is colder than that. Cleaner, too. You do not need every false read repaired. You do not need every cold reaction explained in detail. You do not need to spend your dignity just to leave the room feeling innocent. Some people do not gain power because they were right. They gain power because you kept trying to be understood. And once you see that, something hardens in a healthy way. You stop chasing clarity from people using confusion as leverage. You stop feeding disrespect with explanation. You stop giving your position away, sentence by sentence. They showed disrespect. You do not have to carry it home.